Hey choppers, make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay up to date for all of our videos. Today we got a preview for Dungeons of Infinity. Let's hit it, bub. One of the main things we love at Logan Chops Reviews is dungeon crawls, and Dungeons of Infinity helps to fill that little urge you get when you need to go romping around a dungeon, killing some monsters, getting experience, and getting some items. We're going to go over some of the character sheets, the tiles, and a little bit of the gameplay. But I wanted to let you know that this is an older prototype, so a lot of the stuff that you will see, the artwork has changed, the layouts changed of the character sheets and the tiles. You can find newer pictures of all of them on their Facebook page as the creator Jack updates them as he gets the artwork and designs. So let's go ahead and take a look at the character sheets. This is a character sheet for the warrior. You can see his name is Akachi Bello. It's got his hit chance, which is the number you need to roll either that number or below on a d20 in order to hit a monster. The noise rating, which relates to different things that you do, which could spawn different events. His power rating, his defense, and the amount of action points he gets during the turn. It also has the experience point tracker, which shows as you get experience what level you will hit at what number, and where to keep track of the level you currently are, as well as your health and where you start. For first level, you'd start here at 13. If you get to second level, 14, etc. It also shows you when you will turn out boss event cards. During combat, moving, running, there's a possibility that you'll spawn the boss or a boss event. Also shows you what kind of equipment he can have in different parts of his body. Like for his right hand, he can have an axe, knife, or sword. In his body, he can be wearing armor. All the character sheets are basically laid out the same way with a little artwork for the character there. Each character starts with 8 ability cards. You can see for the warrior here, it's got intimidating presence, strong constitution, bass chest, primal scream. Certain of these cannot be used if the number in the level isn't filled in. Like you see here for Power Dash, he cannot use this at first level. And for Whirling Jump, he can't use it at first or second level. The amount of action points it costs for the ability is in the upper corner, and if it targets, it'll show you a number in the little targeting circle right there. And it outlines how the ability works. Like Intimidating Presence, half the enemies rounded down with power less than or equal to the number based on level flee. So you got a multitude of different abilities you can do, as well as attacking during the turn. At the beginning of the game, you're going to want to put the starter tile on the board, like so. You can see the blue arrow here dictates where you come in. But remember I said this is just a prototype. This artwork has actually changed from its initial conception. It now looks like this in the quick start guide. You can see it's more defined as a room, and you can see the merchant is in the middle, and it'll let you know that that is the exit. That's where you came into the dungeon. So we're going to go ahead and put the starter set on the board. And this is where our heroes will eventually start. You'll have a stack of 30 Dungeons of Infinity tiles, which dictate the different rooms that will come into play. Each room has a number that will correspond to a certain thing on a room chart, which when you enter the room, you'll draw a card from the deck, and you'll see what happens in that room. So I'm going to go ahead and give these a shuffle and lay them out. There's 4 different room content charts that you'll consult whenever you flip over those dungeon tiles, and they have standard difficulties and a hard difficulty on the back, and they show you when you go into the room what tile number it is and what deck you'll draw from to see what actually is in that room. The body deck, pile of debris, floor covered in mist, or treasure chest. Now this doesn't mean that you can't come up against monsters in the room or creatures. It just shows you what deck you're going to draw from. So let's go ahead and we'll use this one for this little gameplay here. We're going to set this at the bottom of the screen so we can consult it later. Now that we've got our room content chart down and chosen, we're going to go ahead and shuffle up the 4 different risk decks associated with the content chart. Like the treasure chest, pile of debris, all 4 of them, and place them on the board. I'm going to go ahead and stick them up here after I shuffle them. Now, I'm supposed to put out a threat meter card, but unfortunately I don't have the actual card, but I do have the printout of the card that Jack was able to get me beforehand. You can see the threat meter, you advance after each hero's turn, and also whenever they do certain different abilities like we discussed on the character cards. And then the meter will move up, and when it hits certain numbers, things will happen. I don't think we have to worry about this too much in this preview, but we'll see. Now that that's on the board, we're going to go ahead and shuffle up our boss event deck. This deck corresponds to whenever we do something that will make us turn over a boss event card, like you saw on the character sheets, doing combat or moving, something that raises the amount of noise in the room. We'll go ahead and turn over a boss event card, and it shows you that if the number corresponds with a room that is on the board, one of the tiles, or one that you are in, the boss will show up, and it tells you what happens. Like this, it'll move 1 towards the noise, and then initiate combat. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle this deck up, and put it on the board. For the sake of time, I've shuffled up the enemy, boss, and dungeon boss decks, and placed them here on the table, and we'll handle those whenever we get to them during the gameplay. If we end up drawing any monsters, we'll show how a fight and a combat goes. Because of the limited amount of space, I've shifted some stuff around, and I put out the store deck, the weapon and armor store deck, and the rewards deck on the lower corner of the table after shuffling them. The store deck and the weapons and armor cards of the store deck are turned out at the beginning of the game. 4 cards from the weapon and armor deck, and 6 cards from the regular store deck. These will be available to buy from the merchant whenever you are on that tile. The reward deck is stuff that you will find in-game as you travel through the dungeon, and it's all the little goodies that you like to pick up when you're in a dungeon crawl. I placed out a pile of tokens, since there's a lot of them in the game, just in the corner for me to be able to grab them instead of separating them out because of time. So once setup is done, you're ready to begin. I'm using 2 of my D&D tokens here on the board because it's easier to see during this gameplay. So this will be the warrior, while this one with the staff will be the wizard. Okay, so once again I've rearranged it to actually try to make better use of the space to show you the gameplay here. You can see I moved the boss and enemy cards up to the top, as well as the risk decks over here. The store cards are over here, and the rewards, which are off screen, and the tiles are over here, and the reward cards we flipped out are right there. So I can show you that both the character sheets are on the board and the starting tile right here. So we're going to go ahead and begin. At the beginning of your first turn, when you're on the merchant's tile, you can purchase cards from the merchant. Usually this costs 2 of your action points, but on the first turn of the game, it costs no action points to buy from the merchant. So it's the warrior's turn. Everybody starts with 3 gold pieces, or whatever currency it is in the game. I forget the exact term. I think it's gold. We'll just call it gold. And everybody's got their cards, ability cards, and their 20-sided dice for combat. So the warrior will start out, and I'm looking at the items over here. He is going to spend 1 gold to go ahead and grab the shield, and another gold to grab the sword over there. So let's go ahead and get those over here on his character sheet. Now we can see that these are going to increase his hit chance, or decrease the hit chance when an opponent tries to hit him, and also raise his defense a little bit, and it also will increase his power. They each cost 1 gold each, so he still has 1 gold left to buy stuff later on. So we'll go ahead and take the 2 gold, throw them back in the pot over here of all the tokens, and put these let's see, shield in his left hand and sword in his right hand. He doesn't want to buy any of these scrolls that are up there, so he's done. Now the merchant will automatically go and send a runner back to go bring more items, which will flip out from the weapon and armor deck. We've got some ring mail and some sandals of silence, which could come in handy for the wizard on their turn. So the warrior has 3 action points to spend. It costs 1 point to move from one tile to a new tile. So that's what the warrior is going to do. He's going to go, and for sake of space, let's say he goes north. You always enter from the south on the merchant tile, and you can either go north, east, or west. He's going to go north. So let's go ahead and draw a new tile over here from the stack. We see it's tile 13. And you see it's got that arrow down here. Remember, this is a prototype. The rooms are going to change. But wherever you go, you always enter from the blue arrow on the tile. So we'll put that blue arrow facing the north exit from the merchant tile. And we will get the warrior ready to enter that. Now, before we enter the room, we have to consult our room content chart over here for the number 13. Consulting the room content chart, we can see that 13, here from 11 to 16, 13 is the floor covered in mist. So we will draw the risk card from the mist deck up here. And see what it says. You enter the mist, and it flows all around you. You hear a loud noise behind you. You turn to see enemies forming behind you. So we're going to draw, and it has a number H plus 2 enemies. So the number H refers to how many heroes are currently playing the game. In this case, it's 2, the warrior and the wizard. So it's going to be 2 plus 2 enemies. So we're going to draw 4 enemies, and they will be facing the warrior. Anytime you encounter enemies in a room, they always face you. Other heroes can enter the room and not have to worry about the enemies facing them. They always face the hero that enters the room. So let's go ahead and draw those enemies. Alright, so we've drawn 4 enemies. We draw the skeleton skirmisher, another skeleton skirmisher, a fire spider, and a horde of rats. And like I said, it's a prototype. Not all the artwork is finished, and it's been changed. So you can see the enemy cards are laid out where it has their health. It has what their hit chance is. So whenever they attack, they will roll the D20, and if they get this number or under, they will hit, just like the heroes. And they have a white dice here, which is what will modify the hero's hit die whenever they roll it, if anything possible. You can see here on the horde of rats, it would do -4 to a hero's hit chance. So the warrior's hit chance is a 13. 13 minus 4 is 9, so I would only be able to hit the horde of rats on a 1 through 9. Now also they have the enemy's attack here and defense, and how this is laid out is it shows its range and its power when it attacks is how much damage it will do, subtracted from the hero's defense, and any extra effects that it could possibly apply to damage. This right here is poison. But during the defense, this is its defense power, which you compare to the hero's power. I'm sorry, this is defense. You compare it to the hero's power whenever a hero attacks it. And then any elemental or signs that it might be weak to. You can see here the skeleton skirmisher is weak towards ice and fire elemental stuff. So we're going to go ahead and put these out, and they come out left or right in the order that they were drawn. In front of the warrior. And then whenever you draw monsters for combat like this, you always draw 1 rewards card and put it face down next to them. And that's what you'll get if you end up defeating all of the creatures you encounter. So let's go ahead, draw that rewards card, put it face down right there. Now the hero gets a chance to react to this and choose what to do. It's still the hero's turn. The monsters won't attack you until the end of your turn. So let's go ahead and check what we have here on our abilities. I'm going to go ahead and use his first one, Intimidating Presence. It's going to cost me 0 attack or action points, and it tells me that half the enemies rounded down with power less than or equal to the number in the box down here based on level flee. This ability applies whenever enemy first encounter this hero. So you see the number is 4 here. So half of these enemies rounded down, I've got 4, so half rounded down is 2, are going to flee if they have power less than or equal to the number in the box, which is 4 for first level. 4. So I look at my enemies here. I see the 2 skirmishers have a power level of 5, and the fire spider and the horde of rats both have a power level of 4. So they are actually going to flee. We're going to go ahead and put them in the discards there for the enemies. And since I've used this ability already, I'm going to go ahead and put it over here. Now, I do gain 1 experience point for every enemy that flees. So that's going to give me 2 right off the bat. Move my chart up there for experience, and I'm at 2. So now I've still got 2 action points left, and a standard attack costs 1 action point. So I'm going to spend 1 to try to hit this skeleton skirmisher right here. So let's go ahead and do this combat on these skeleton warriors. Or skeleton skirmishers, sorry. I got my d20. I see that my hit chance is a 13 on the warrior. So anything between 1 and 13 will be a hit. Let's go ahead and hit this skeleton skirmisher first. Let's go ahead and roll it. And I get a 4, which is a hit. Now we got to figure out what damage is. Since I get the sword, it says I get extra 1 power. So I look on my base. My base power is 5. So that'll give me 6 power. We go ahead and look at the skeletal skirmisher's defense, which is 3, and go ahead and subtract. 6 minus 3 is 3. Which is enough to finish off that skirmisher right there, and it will be dead. Now that costs 1 action point. A standard action, or standard attack costs 1 action point. So I still have 1 action point left. Let's go ahead and use that last one to go ahead and hit that skeleton skirmisher. Roll a d20. And it is a 12. We see my hit chance is a 13, and they have no modifiers for me to my hit chance. So since it's 13 or under, I hit. It basically has the same defense as the other one, and we already figured out that my power is 6, so 6 minus 3 is 3, and it is enough to kill the skeleton skirmisher. Since I defeated all the creatures in front of me, I get the rewards. Let's go ahead and see what I earned. Ooh, a boss axe. You see, its power is 4, and it's got a couple other numbers that you can check in the rules reference book to figure out. But I think that I think this is good. This power adds 4 rather than that sword. So I can see on my character sheet, I can equip axes, knives, and swords. So I'm going to go ahead and switch out my sword for this boss axe. So I'll be more beefier next turn. And since I used all my action points, we gotta go and see if anything was increased on the threat meter. Now normally I should be drawing boss event cards after combat, moving, running. You're supposed to check boss event cards, but it's recommended that you don't do that for your first game to make it a little easier learning curve of the game. But at the end of your turn, you have to check the threat meter. Now remember, I got this big printout, and it tells us that we move up the threat meter and advance it after each hero's turn. And it has certain things. There's when we do that, like discovering a dungeon tile, we advance it by 1. If we run, we advance it by 1. If we begin combat, by 2. If we use an ability card, it's the action point number on the card. So you see, my ability card was a 0, so it's not going to increase the threat meter. But I did discover a dungeon tile, so it will move up from 0 to 1. And I did begin combat, so it moves up another 2. So right now, our threat meter is at a 3. And different stuff happens whenever you start getting up there in the numbers, like the 12, it starts moving stuff up. We'll go ahead and handle that in another video in the full review of this after the Kickstarter. So now my turn would be over, and we turn it over to the wizard, who is still sitting there with the merchant. And normally it would start out where she would be able to buy some of the items up there and then go ahead and take her turn. Of course, remember that the first turn you're with the merchant, it costs no action points instead of the 2 action points it normally costs. But we're running a little long on the preview. We don't want to get you bored. We hope you've seen a little bit of what fun Dungeon of Infinity gives you. We hope you enjoyed our preview. So check out Dungeon Infinity on Kickstarter, bub. Let's help get it funded.